conversation I thought was interesting that I'd like you to share with everybody about, clay's been around forever, yet the American tennis, especially on the men's side, has now been blamed a little bit on the faster surface, and the players in the clay seem to have an advantage. They're constructing points longer. They're thinking out. They're not out there to finish points as quickly as the Americans hit on clay. And Americans had success back in the 70s on clay. So what was the difference back then as compared to today with playing on red clay?
I think the difference is, again, there's many factors, but when you played on clay back then, you were playing Europeans who did not know how to serve ball. So they had no serve in those days. There was no indoor court to speak of. So, and the idea of sitting the ball on clay was to put the ball into play and to start from there. So you could attack their serves a lot more. So your hardcourt tennis would allow you to do a little more attacking. But if you got in a baseline rally with them, we're talking about guys that could hit 30 balls in a row within a foot of the baseline all day long. And so you had to get them out of that kind of scenario. Today, with the way a lot of the young players are hitting the ball, the problem is they have never learned how to have transition. The boys, yes. The girls, I think even worse. This idea of sitting on the baseline and hammering balls as hard as you can, and if the ball's a little shorter, just move in a step and hammer it to another side, is really in many respects counterproductive. To be able to get a short ball, you hit a deep, hard ball in order to get that short ball, in order to transition and hit an approach shot, and then come in and maybe finish it with an easy volley or finish it with an easy overhead. Instead of this, the players are all going, especially the girls, are all going to this idea of smacking every single ball. Now, the men's game has changed. Federer has changed it, and Murray has changed it. They are now using drop shots a little more. Nadal is using a drop shot a little more. Nadal is working on getting the net. Nadal reminds me an awful lot of Bjorn Borg, because I was in the same circuit. When Borg was 15, turning 16, I was playing on the circuit with him his first year. And he was a remarkable player, but all he had were ground strokes. He had no volley, he had no serve. And yet over the next 5 years, every season he came out, he reinvented his game and developed his game to the extent that here's a guy that won 5 Wimbledons in a row. And that was on the grass that is not the same grass you have today. They have slowed the grass down today to allow to a baseline game. In those days, the grass was much faster and much slipperier, and it was a serve volleyer's game, and yet Bjorn Borg still, with his game, could win.
Well, that's an interesting observation, because you had talked earlier about we have a club member who's similar age, but on clay, he grew up in Spain. He still uses continental grip with slice on his forehand and backhand, so it was obviously easier to chase into the net on the clay court specialists who were trying to pass you with underspin. So today's game is so much different with the technology of the racket. So Borg probably was the one who changed the way people hit the ball because of the topspin. And then even with the later introduction of the equipment with the graphite rackets, it changed everything. So you made that observation, and I thought that was interesting, that clay courters really didn't have an advantage on their own surface with the American style of play because of the attacking, aggressive nature of it. But definitely the technology has probably been the biggest change in the game that changed everything.
And there's been a transition period, because in the early 90s, and Harold Sullivan were very successful at sitting back and doing nothing but hitting loopy balls, and with the new equipment being able to dip the ball and frustrate the attacking players. But today, you now are people going back to a little bit of old school, if you want. You watch the way Federer plays. I mean, he is coming in on slices. He is hitting that slice ball. Andy Murray is hitting that slice ball. Nadal is doing that. Djokovic is routinely moving the ball around, changing the pace, and they're now going more to what I call the all-court game. And I feel that today's juniors, if they're going to become world class, it's fine to become locally good, and that's great. But if you're going to move up the rankings, if you're going to go and play on the world circuit, you must have a complete game. And cringe sometimes when I see the kids out here playing and all they do is sit in the baseline and hit toppers because they are never going to improve. They must learn how to volley, they must learn how to hit approach shots, they must learn how to change their grip and hit a slice approach shot as well as a topspin approach shot. Because if you get in a match and all you can do is hit topspin and the other guy's better at it than you are, you're going to lose. And if you're that, where's game B? And then if you haven't got game B, you're in trouble. You just go up and shake hands. You've got to be able to adjust your game and change it according to how the other person plays.